So, my question for you is, do we want a homestead or do we just need to move? So when you ask that question, the one thing that we know, we need to leave where we're at. That's the big thing. So what we wanted to do is, do we want a homestead and that's what we were thinking. We've been watching a lot of these homesteading channels on YouTube, and that's where we feel our heart is leading us. And but one thing I noticed after I started to read these things, we need to take a look at what is homesteading, and are we really trying to homestead, or are we just trying to move? Are we trying to leave where we're at and go to another place? And in that mix, I'll throw in this one YouTube channel we watch. It's Alumna Acres, and he always starts, he says, "Good morning, modersteaders." And I think that might be the middle ground of what we're talking about. So instead of maybe being a homestead or just moving, maybe we just want to be a modern steader, kind of like Alumna Acres would say. The key is, one of the difficult things for us is we're a very blended family, so we have people in a lot of different areas, so that makes it a little bit more difficult to say, well, we got family here, family there, and it's hard to place value on family members. So we really don't want to do that. Our largest family member group was in South Carolina, and right now we live in Denver, and it's just become too much. We're getting older, and the traffic, you can't go to the stores, or just it's just not us. I mean, some people enjoy that stuff. I mean, I know people that moved downtown to where it's even more crowded than where we're at. So it really is a preference thing. So when you see these homesteading channels or modern steading channels or farmsteading channels, it really is just a preference. What are you looking for? And you need to write those things down. And then you need to figure out, do you just need to move? Do you want some land? What exactly do you think is going to happen? And then you have to weigh those desires against reality. One of the things I thought was interesting, we wrote down, we really want to slow down a little bit. I mean, the city is so rushed. But the flip side of that is, if you go onto a homestead, are you really slowing down? And I think in the definition, you actually are slowing down. Although you may have a lot more work to do, it's going to be in a different capacity. You're out there on your own land, you're doing things in your own way. Here, sure, there's always work to be done, there's always something to be done. You can sit around and watch TV all day, but I mean, we just feel like we want to be out on some land, we want some animals, we want to know what's going into our food. And that's one of the biggest things, is just being able to understand what's going into our food. My wife has some, just issues with different foods are starting to bother us a lot. So we want to try to see if we can rectify that in some way, and maybe grow our own food and be able to have some of our own meat, and those types of things. So where we live at now, just downtown, we're not downtown, but we're in Denver. We're in a highly populated area. Our house is very small. We have no yard. We have 2 little dogs. It's just not what we want. I mean, assigned parking spots. I mean, things like that start to add up. No garage, limited storage, HOA that tells you what you can and can't do. So we're ready to be out of all of that. Now the question is, can we get all that just by moving? We could move into a house in a different city maybe, or outside the city. But Denver is just overgrown, and it's just consuming the outlying areas, and there's no stop to Denver when it goes into the next city. It just consumed it, and now there's no separation barrier. So those are the things we got to think of. And with us, we've just decided that we have to get out of where we're at. And what that means, you know, I don't think we're going to know until you get there. Unless you've homesteaded before, unless you've been out on a farm before, man, how are you going to know? How are you going to know until you get out there? I see lots of these things where, you know, they didn't make it. It wasn't what they were thinking it was. You know, it was too much physical labor. I mean, that would be my, you know, one of my biggest concerns would be the amount of physical labor that it's going to cause. And both me and her are pretty small people. So that could be an interesting thing for us to try to overcome. It's just the amount of physical work it's going to take for us to manage this and take this on. But we're willing to give it a try. And here's the main thing I want you to get out of this. You know what? You can sit around and you can think about it. You can talk about it. You can investigate it. You can study it. You can do all that kind of stuff. But if you don't plan it, goal it, and make it happen, you're just sitting around doing nothing, you know, and that's the main thing. And maybe we'll talk about that on the next one. You know, how do we make it happen? And do we have the discipline level to make it happen? So I just want to tell you, I think we want a homestead. Our heart says we want animals. I know this is going to sound crazy to some people, but I want goats. I want to have goats with a few cows, not a ton of cows, just enough to feed us and maybe sell a couple, keep them moving. But I want my main focus to be on goats. I'd like to raise meat goats and then have a few pet goats that I could sell, you know, just for some extra cash, maybe on the side, you know, little pygmy goats or something, dwarf goats. And then we want a garden, you know, and that's what we want. That's what we desire. And until we get there, we are not going to know. So we definitely need to move. We don't like it where we're at. And now we need to find a place that connects with us and means something. We're not in a rush, but we'll discuss in the next video, how do you get there if you don't start making some decisions that require action? You need to write down your goals. You need to make decisions that require actions and then move to the next step. And that's probably going to be the focus of our next video. So to answer the question, do we need to move or do we want a homestead? Let's say maybe we're somewhere in between. And if you haven't seen a Lumna Acres video, you may want to check them out. But we want to be modern steaders. We're not going off grid. We're not going to get rid of everything. But we're going to try to get some sort of self-sufficiency and really have a farm where we can have some animals and, you know, just be in the open, you know, walk out on your back porch and see nothing but the sunrise. So if you got any questions, or, you know, tell me how what you're doing, what you're thinking. You know, what are you thinking about? Are you thinking about homesteading? Are you thinking about moving? Have you already done it? What happened in your scenario? This channel's just growing, and I hope that you would like and subscribe, and just let's figure this out together, especially if you're on the same journey. Let's see how we can help each other out. And if you've already been on the journey, stick with us, and as I do these videos, you can catch it and maybe stop us from some failures and give us some advice. Thanks for watching. And again, like, subscribe, comment. Let's build a let's just build a comment section where we can just talk to each other and see what's going on.